Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey, where we break down various life topics, bring on inspirational guests to talk about their lives, their experiences, and encourage you to swim through your own inner thoughts, emotions, and feelings to inspire a change within you that will hopefully lead to an outer change in your own personal reality. I ask that throughout this episode and all future episodes that you come with an open mind, an open heart, and a willingness to look at yourself in a different way and to look at the world in a different way. I'm grateful for each and every one of you that's tuned in this current moment, and I look forward to sharing many more moments with you. And with that, let's dive on in. One, action. Hey.
Welcome.
Wait, is that might need to go up a little bit?
You might be right. Yeah.
Oh.
Ultimate strength.
Nice. You need to hold the bottom. Hold the bottom and then twist.
Hold the bottom.
Yeah.
I see. Cool.
That's better.
Can you guys see me okay?
Check 1, 2, yeah, I'm sure they can.
Okay.
All right. Welcome to Swimming with Sepsey with your host, Joshua Sepsey.
Hey.
Hey.
Ow, ow, ow.
Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh. And your co-host, Nicki Tomacheski. Hey,
hello,
doggy.
everybody.
We love Nicki around here. And we love Joshua around here. All right. Today we have a fun one. It is the full moon on April 23rd, 2024. It's the first time I've ever actually dated. Well, no. I guess we dated Matthews, but that was an astrology one. But of all the ones that we've done, we have never dated them of when we're actually recording, I don't think.
I don't think so, except for one, because we had referenced something, and then we were like, oh, it's this date.
Yeah,
it was only one
yeah.
episode. I forget why we did that, but I think
That's a
we
good point.
had one.
We did have one.
Yeah. But we
Okay.
usually don't.
So the second ever date. I don't know why. Today feels like a big, powerful, pivotal moment. So it's ironic that we decide to record on this day. On this full moon, there's just a lot of talks about some auspiciousness going on. Little announcements. Don't forget, if you subscribe and you want a reading, remember, you want a reading, shoot me a screenshot that you subscribe. I will give you $20 off an Akashic Record reading, whether it be past life, whether it be just, Akashic Record reading of this present moment. You do a life reading, things like that. So, I'll offer $20 off, which is a pretty big discount for those that subscribe to the YouTube channel, support us. We all appreciate everyone that tunes in. We check it all the time. Nicki and I talk about it. Love the comments that you guys are posting and kind of engaging now. So we love to see it.
Yeah.
We think about you guys all the time. Whoever's watching, we see all the views. I don't know who it is, but I'm just like, thank you for each one.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it. I'm about to get those meditations up, so we're gonna have meditations probably within the next 2 weeks. We'll have a couple meditations coming out for you guys. We just did one today, and it felt really good. How did you feel after that?
I felt amazing.
Did you feel like really connected? That was a good one.
That was a good one. Yeah, that one I was able to follow, and there's a weird imagery that I got at one point.
What'd you get?
Somebody's face. I don't even know whose face it was. It wasn't even like a detailed face, but I remember there was somebody there. I don't know who it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Have you ever seen it in your dreams?
Mm-mm.
No? Just a face.
Just a face. I don't even know.
Male or female?
I want to say female, but
androgynous?
Kind of unclear. Androgynous, yeah.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to think
about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
think about that.
I will.
A bit, yeah.
I will.
See if you can put it together.
Okay. That'd be crazy if it just slowly started to reveal its face to me.
I hope you meet someone and then it clicks and you're like, whoa.
That would be insane.
Yeah, I hope that's what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah.
I'll let
Keep
you
an
know.
eye out. Just start looking at everybody in the face. Like, is that them? Is that them?
Just totally block out everything they're saying. Sorry.
Just trying to put features. Sorry. I'm just looking at all your physical features.
Just seeing if you're the person in my meditation.
Which brings us to today's. Do you need to fix that?
I think it's fine.
Okay. You can tighten it on the right.
Okay.
Or loosen it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
That should be cool. That should be cool.
Yeah. Today's episode is all about relationships.
You guys love these ones.
And relationships, yeah, everyone loves relationships. Now, here's the thing, though. We're not just going to talk about, like, partnerships, relationships, love, and those kinds of things, right? Because at its actual form, relationship, it has a really broader term than the way that we've used it now. We've actually just simplified it into one thing. But, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you may know, but the first thing that comes to mind when you hear relationship, what do you hear?
Me?
Yeah. No, the audience that can't speak back to us right now.
Alright, you're right. Fair. Sorry.
Me?
I don't know why it feels like, even though we're recording, like I feel like we're recording in front of a live studio audience.
Dude. Like those old TV shows. You are now watching a live studio film for a live studio audience.
Soon we'll have a few people in here. We'll have a couple people.
Yeah, we do have some upcoming guests, actually, that I'm excited for.
Oh.
And then, maybe we can even do the lives, like, depending if you're going to hop in or not.
That'd be cool.
We
I
can
would be
run
down
a
to do
live.
that.
Yeah?
Yeah, that would sound... That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
But what?
I was going to say, yeah, to answer your question, I would say... the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear relationships is definitely just like the connections you have in your life. That's pretty much.
Oh, you have a broader. You're not like partnerships like boyfriend, girlfriend. And
I
marriage.
mean, it comes to mind, but I probably just because I know there's a lot of different types of relationships out there.
Yeah.
But
You're
yeah,
also a Pisces.
that definitely comes to mind though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but to my knowledge, when you hear relationship, immediately goes to like.
Yeah,
someone
romantic.
You're with romantic, intimate relationship.
I feel that.
Right? However, you have personal relationship. You have your romantic. So personal is like your relationship with yourself, your thoughts, your body. You have your romantic, partnership, someone that you're intimate with. You also have friendships, family ships. Your relationship with animals. You also have a relationship with nature. You also have a relationship with like your roommate and friend relationship is completely different, which I've noticed. Like having roommates, like it's pretty symbiotic, but like there's like a interesting limit there because like with your friends, you don't ever have to worry about like oh, hey, do we need to go get like paper towels, or like we need to clean this, or we need to like this is about the house, we have to do this for the apartment, like this is this.
Yeah.
Or like, yo, you left all this crap out and I need to go, right? So there's like a different relationship that happens
so
between
interesting. And I wonder, so that makes me think, like, I wonder, depending on the environment, do your roles change? And what about the environment makes, because I feel like what you just said, like, you're in a roommate situation now, like, that's changing your roles a little bit.
Yeah. Changing your roles, like what you would normally do, like changing your routine.
Yeah, changing your routine, and it could even, like, allow you to access different parts. It's gonna sound way, like, not even like intimately, but just like as a person, I feel like that sets a totally different tone for you to experience Dalton in a different way. Sorry, I just name dropped you for me. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
Just name dropped him. Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Like, you know, a good friend, and then, you know, becomes roommate, and then becomes like even better friend, like the relationship. But yeah, I guess the role between us has been different. I mean, that's gone with like every roommate I've ever had, though.
Yeah.
Like your role with them changes. Like I've had multiple different, like just different types of roommates, and my role has had to change each time. You know.
What's the dynamic, if you don't mind me asking? Like, do you find yourself like seeing that there's a strong dynamic between the two? Like, is it very collaborative? Is it very like?
Yeah, it depends on yeah. It's very now it's like it's very symbiotic to where some roommates I've had, it's been, even if they're a friend of mine, it's very like I'm still only focused on just myself. So it's almost like they're living alone and just kind of have a space, and then you're just kind of there.
Yeah.
And so that kind of roommate area, it's very, 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 very toxic.
Oh, you think so?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, like, you can't be... That's like saying... oh, my God, I'm about to quote Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, for those that watch the show, you'll get it. But I'll explain it best. I'll explain it best. So, when Toph first joins the group, right, the Earthbender Toph, she comes in and like Katara was having like an argument, like, hey, like we need you to help out, and she's like, well, I got myself covered, like I don't need your help, and that like creates this clash, this like, well, you're not the only one that's in this, like we all have to share and do our part together, right, as like a community. They're all working together, and like they have this headbutt battle, and like she doesn't get it at first, right?
Yeah,
because Toph's always had to fend for herself.
Yeah.
So bringing that, I mean, to this kind of day and age, when you have someone like that, you know, when you're cohabitating a place with somebody, you're in it together. There's no separation, right? There's no like, oh, only focus on yourself, because if you do something, it's going to affect the way that I live. If I do something, it's going to affect the way that he lives, right? So there's this like for example, right now, like Dalton, he loves playing his music. And then when we're recording, I gotta be like, hey man, like, can you just shut it off while we record? And like, we have that. And like, so there's that part. And we just communicate about that. Yeah. But it goes with like any sort of relationship that you have, right? Your role is gonna change in that. Now, I will say this though, going back to, what episode did we do authenticity? Was it episode 11?
It's been a while now.
I think it's episode 11.
Yeah.
11 it was... Yeah, 10 was the Akashic Records, 11 was authenticity.
Oh, okay.
So when you come to a space of, like, authenticity, though, like, when you reach that space, your role doesn't change that much, right? Let me give you an example. If I were still, like, a people pleaser and I wasn't, like, living authentically, my role in different relationships would probably shift so much. Like, I would probably, like, I don't know, this is going to be a really drastic one, but like someone who's always at beck and call for like the person that they're in a relationship with. Like, see, I just did it right there. The person that they're like their boyfriend or girlfriend, and you're hanging out with friends, and like, you know, you're kicking it, and like she needs something or he needs something, and then you like immediately drop everything you're doing and go do this, or like you have like this sort of like shift up, like, oh, I got to make sure they're okay, but like you also want to make sure your friends are good, and like you're like, is it okay if I leave? Like, I don't want to upset you guys, and you're trying to do all these other things, and like, oh, but I'm here, but like then inside of you, you know, like, oh, I might be letting them down. So like your role is just shifting, right? Because you don't know how to communicate because you're still trying to make sure they're okay and your friends are okay, and so, you know, you're always in this people pleasing role. But then that can switch to where you're, very isolated too in your communication. So then in your personal relationship, that role is shifting into this isolation. You're not thinking of yourself often. You're not doing things for yourself. So that role looks different. Maybe the role in your community looks different because you're not active in it, or you're always trying to please the other people that are close to you. So you're not active in community events, or going out and meeting people is not your thing. So you seem like an isolated. So your roles look different when you're not authentic. When you're able to be like yourself, you're able to express that all the way. You're able to have those boundaries and limits on who you are and what you're going to allow in each relationship. And so then you can just show up as yourself in every relationship that you have, and they respect that. And then you start to respect yourself more. And then you don't have to put on a face or be someone different whenever you go somewhere else. Like, I'm going to be the same person I am now when I talk with somebody at a bar. I'm going to be the same person I am now when I talk to like a friend of mine. I'll be the same person. I'll be serious in moments, but I'll crack a joke or have fun or do some crazy stuff because that's just who I am. Not crazy stuff, but like I'll be a goofball. I ain't about to just go jump off a cliff and bungee jump for no reason. But yeah, so if I go anywhere, it's like it's kind of it's a freeing feeling, but that allows you to kind of have a stronger relationship too, which I think is where we're going now. We're shifting into a space of interpersonal relationship. So I don't want to sound too redundant because we've said a lot of the same things over a couple episodes, but your reaction to your feelings and your emotions is your inner relationship with yourself. Your reactions to your thoughts is also part of the inner relationship to yourself. Your body, the way you take care of yourself, is part of that relationship with yourself. So there's things that encompass multiple ways. The way that you take care of yourself physically, getting enough sleep, eating the right foods, doing any cleansing, drinking water, taking care of an injury, right? How you do those things shows your relationship with yourself, whether it's quote unquote good or bad. The way you think about your mental state, the way you create your imagination, all that's an interpersonal relationship. We take that relationship and then just kind of look at it for a bit. Like, how long did it take for you to kind of develop an understanding that there's multiple things going on that you got to take care of? Like, when you were a kid, you didn't think about these things. You didn't think, oh, I gotta take care of what I eat, right? Or my emotions, they just kind of run out, and you don't have a reaction. You don't have a reaction to them. You just let them flow. Yeah. And you just are all of them at the one time, right? You're trying to figure out the world, so your relationship with the self is different. As you get older, you have to understand all of these parts of yourself, and how you can have a symbiotic relationship and how they all tie together, right? Yeah. So going deeper now. We're going to go a little deeper, and we're going to swim with this for a bit. Man, I haven't said that in a minute.
Going deeper?
No, we're going to swim with this
swim.
for a bit.
Yeah.
So this whole point,
Yeah,
swim with
literally.
Sepsey, like the whole thing.
We're about to dive in.
I'm about to dive in.
Yeah.
Make me sweat.
That's what I was thinking.
Is that what you're thinking?
Mm-hmm.
So when we start to think about all those things that encompass the interpersonal relationship, and you go a little deeper, then you can start to see how they're all connected. Okay? So then you can see the way that I think about myself, I'll start with emotions because it starts there. So you have an emotion, and then you react to that emotion, and you have like a feeling inside, and it could be either anxiety, stress, it could be joy, it could be gratitude, and then from there sparks thoughts, maybe memories start to flood in because your mind is capable of doing all these things at one time. And so you're going through that, and then the more that you do that, you can start feeling it physically. You either become lighter and more energetic based on the emotion you're feeling. If it's gratitude, it's love, it makes you want to kind of bounce around. And Emily's always like, I'm going to do cartwheels. And like, it's just so funny. She's like, I'm so excited, I just want to do a cartwheel. And I'm like, that's just beautiful, that energy. And so that energy could be that way, or it could be like, you get this emotion of fear, and then you start thinking all the things that are bringing fearful into your mind, and then you start going about your day, and you start bringing stress in and bills, and these things start to come in, and then you start to feel heavy, lethargic. You don't want to do anything. You want to just kind of lay around. You want to couch potato. You want to eat these kinds of foods, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all tied together in that relationship. So when you can start to understand all of them, you will have more of a balance to where I can be in this, feel this sadness, this expression, know that it's just a phase, it's just a part, and I'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to accept that's where I am now. Then I'm going to look at the relationship that I have with it, with my mental. How are my thoughts? Are my thoughts optimistic, or are my thoughts just feeding into this emotion and feeling? Okay, well, let me think about that for a moment, because they're pretty heavy. They're kind of feeding into it. I don't want to do that. I want to stay balanced. So let's have a little bit, let's start rethinking the way that we look and react to our sadness. Man, I'm kind of sad today. Okay. What are you sad about? X, Y, and Z. I don't know. It was just easy example. My team lost today. We're going to go back to this example.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm kind of sad today. My team lost yesterday, or today I just lost. Yeah, but there's always more games. I'm going to try and put it this way. Okay, well, what else? Well, I won this today, or I did this today, so that was good. So things that you can kind of anchor yourself into that make yourself, that not only bring sadness, but just recognize that sadness is okay. So you don't have to try and talk yourself out of sadness. That's not what I was trying to get at. I know it kind of sounded that way. But then thinking of things to just be like, it's okay to feel this sadness. It's okay to be in that space. It's okay to grieve. I'm going to feel that. Okay. And then just talking to yourself that way allows you to stay neutral. Allows the body to stay in a space of just accepting the emotion, and you felt it all the way through. Great. Now your body is thanking you, because normally you would have gotten so down another road that you would have gotten stressed, that you would have started binge eating, that you would have started going on all these habits and addictions that aren't good for your body, would have started drinking, would have started doing all these sort of things. So you can stop these sort of physical addictions at a certain point, and it's all in the mind. The mind begins to feed, because the brain, the nervous system connects to the rest of the body and starts talking. They all start talking. So your thoughts feed that. So as you're sitting in these heavy thoughts, the body's like, oh gosh, I need this, or I need this. It starts like, oh, I need these whatever is going to give me this dopamine or whatever is going to bring us out of this sadness because it's making us uncomfortable. It's not making us feel good. We need some sort of shot. Go eat some chocolate. Go have a beer to numb it. Go, on a run and just forget everything. Like, don't think about it. Stop thinking about it. It's not making us comfortable, right? Because your ego is always wanting to be comfortable. So that's that inner relationship, right? That's the part that, like, when we're talking about like the work, what's the work that needs to be done? That's part of the work. Recognizing and seeing the whole part of the pie, the whole pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, so when you're talking about like so you're talking about kind of how to like recognize like how the mind starts to pull you into these like negative spaces. And I was just thinking about like, okay, like what do we do? Like you're saying to fill it all out so you can just be in a state of just kind of acceptance and not pushing yourself further into guilt and all these other like deeper, lower vibrational feelings.
Right.
But I was thinking like, because it takes time for you to actually like make a different choice. Because like maybe one day, like someone might feel like, okay, I like cried my eyes out all day, but at least that was like something you needed to feel.
Heck yeah.
But then like to change the decision, like I was gonna maybe bring up like how to trust what you're hearing, because sometimes I feel like when you're going through those things, it's so like you are aware of what's going on, like you can become aware of your patterns, but then like how do you make the choice to like change it? And like to really do that, you have to like you have to actually believe that you can first.
Yeah.
But like, well, you have to have the desire, yeah, but like you can want it all you want, but like you have to actually believe you can. So then like how do you instill these like belief systems of like you actually being able to do what you want to? Because a lot of the time people face these like doubts of like, no, I'm not capable of doing these beautiful things that I see in my life, or I'm not capable of having the life that I want to live, or like I see other people doing this, but people are different than me. I'm not the same as them, or I don't have the work ethic as them, or like those.
Well, go ahead, continue.
I was just gonna say like those types of like beliefs that people face, because those are like heavy over time, and then like because it's such a like, I would say, how many people do you know that are living the life that they want to live? Is it most people that you know, or is it a few people like actively just like living the life that they want?
Probably a few people.
Yeah.
That I know personally.
Yeah. And I feel like the more you open up to it, you might find more community that does and supports it. But I feel for those that are like feeling stuck, or maybe like have trouble believing in like...
Well, that just brings us to the next part, where that ends relationship with others. Because you start getting into this comparison, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be okay with yourself. So you have to work on self, be okay with self, to where you're not sitting here comparing and reminiscing on people that told you or didn't give you the support when you were younger, or didn't say that you could do those things, that it was even possible to do those things, or people that doubted everything you did, like, right? Those things get instilled on you when you're young. You learn from the other ones around you. So if you got someone older when you were young that it was like saying, I doubt that's even possible, I doubt you could do that, or I doubt I could even do that, and you start going in that same belief system and creating those same beliefs about yourself. So you have to recognize self first. Where do I feel? And then you can start tackling these outer relationships that are like, wait a second, if I'm like this, then that's from them. They told me that wasn't possible. They told me that, there's no way that I could do this, or that I'm stupid, or that I'm dumb, or that I'm, not smart, or can't create what I want to do, or can't do what I want to live, or, can't live the way I want to live, right? Like, they keep telling me the world is this way and you have to abide by the rules, but you have to do what society says, or so then you take it on to this larger scale and you start getting into society, and there's a whole bunch of narratives, right? So it goes back to that last part, or I think it was the last episode where you were talking about the noise, how the noise comes in and there's so many things going on. That's hard to manage. But we can start with ourselves. We can start with our own personal relationship. We can actually manage it a lot better and be more solid in who we are when you understand your own mechanics and the things that you go through every day, the way your mind is. You start to understand, okay, so when this happens or I'm in this motion, my mind immediately goes this, and then my body wants this. You start to put those connections together. It makes it easier for you to manage. Okay, motions at this, I'm going to kick it right there and stop right at my mind. I'm not going to let my body do its automatic function. I'm going to kick it at my mind, be like, okay, normally my mind says this, or normally my thoughts go on this direction, a negative direction. I'm going to change it to either a neutral balance or bring in some positive. That way then my body can be like, okay, I'm okay. I can still keep going throughout my day and move, because your body's just a reaction of your mind. That's why they call it mind over matter. Your mind can actually create, and that's really where the parts of your thoughts can create all this physical reality. That's a personal belief. Believe me if you want. But, I mean, did someone think about creating a microphone? Yeah, they had the idea of creating a microphone. What about the microphone stand? What about this tapestry? What about this? This. Except for the plant. We didn't create that. But, this... Everything in here, besides anything that's a part of Earth, was man created. We thought of it. We need something like this. Okay, let's build it. Lights, electricity, right? But we also use what we learned from the universe, right? It's a whole complex concept. When we really get into the relationship of ourselves with the macrocosm of the universe, but really, you can understand the relationship with the universe when you begin to understand the relationship with yourself. I think that's where it starts. That's why everyone says, all the great teachers are saying, you just go within. And then you're not sitting in this space of chasing after something that everyone tells you is never going to happen. Not that you're not sitting in that space chasing after and people are saying it's never going to happen, but you're not in this space of trying to prove. You're just doing it for yourself, and that's even better. That's where all those miracles start to come true. But it is difficult and that's where we get into, we go into the second level, relationship with family and friends, and then intimate relationships. I would say those are like two separate things, but still pretty close, because those are the people that you love unconditionally, wholeheartedly, right? You would do anything for them, your close friends. You would do anything for your family if you could, and then for your partner. You would want to do whatever you can for your partner. So those relationships really depend on a form of communication about your inner relationship with yourself.
I like the way you put that.
Yeah. Being able to communicate the way you are, and, actively maybe what you're working on, and being able to just kind of communicate your emotions and your feelings. That's why it's so important, because you can't communicate well if you don't understand how you function.
Yeah.
I can't communicate to you how I'm feeling if you're like, how are you feeling? And I'm like,
yeah.
Blank. And then you get frustrated because I can't communicate my feelings, and you're like, dude, what the heck? You can't even talk to them, or then you're just talking about basic stuff. You're not really getting to know the person, what they like, what they dislike. You'd be like, oh, well, I do this. You just know, like, me at a base level. You don't know me, though. You don't know what I think about, what I, dream about, those kinds of things. I don't know how to communicate those things, because if I don't know, or everyone tells me that's not true, I'll start talking about it, but then my energy will completely go another way. Oh, well, I've always thought about, I don't know, making music, but I don't know how to make music, and it just seems like so hard, and I don't even know music theory, and like you see how the energy just starts to just totally change.
Yeah.
Even though I love music
Yeah.
so much, and like I've always wanted to create it, like I don't have the equipment, I don't have a keyboard, like I don't even know if I sound good, like I don't know, you know, they don't have, there's this whole, because they don't know themselves, they don't, that part, all of that is learned from other people around them from not going for what they really truly believe in, because they're like, I don't even know if that would support me. So many people think about how their life is going to be, at least to start. I would say that you think about the way your life's going to be by what job's going to be able to, or what career or job's going to be able to support you in the long run. Right. So you don't always think about the things you want to do. Now we're actually coming up with all these creative ways to make money.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to see.
It is insane.
Yeah. But we also were backed into a corner to have to do those things. Right? The economy put us in this place that our relationship with the world had to change, so we adapted and created different ways to make income, because the regular structure that you guys are running on wasn't working. So we had to come up with all these other crazy things to make money. Which then we go into the relationship with society. But I haven't even gone into the relationship with people.
I was just about to ask you a question about that, actually.
Go ahead.
So can we, so where do triggers and like defense mechanisms come in then with other, I know we're still in intimate relationships, right?
Yeah. We can touch on those in intimate relationships.
Or even with family, too. Or, like, friends, you know what yeah, any of those... I feel like any of those with other people, relationships with other people, and even a stranger, too. Like, even you can get triggered by fucking... Sorry. No, you can get triggered by people on the road.
What stranger are you thinking of that got you triggered really hard there?
No, not me, bro, not me. But I was just saying, like, road rage. You see road rage all the time.
Yeah.
So, like, I was just going to say, like, how does somebody start to understand these triggers within themselves, and like what even is that? What even is a trigger? Because like that's an automated response, and if you really think about mentally what that's doing, you're just firing off in self-defense. That's how I like usually see it, and usually at that point more destruction is caused than anything else.
Your mind, your ego wants to keep you safe.
Yeah.
It's just going to trigger you to feel an emotion that's going to be like, oh, this is triggering. I need to put up all my guards right now to keep myself comfortable, keep myself safe.
So is it
when you're thinking like road rage is a whole different example, because that I believe is a huge learned behavior, and also people that can't handle, that have no patience, that don't think about others as often. Their empathy is pretty low. They're on a short fuse. I could be wrong here, but a lot of those, there's like, well, I do know some people that are empathetic but still have road rage.
Yeah.
That part though, and I'm just gonna call this going back to manifestation. You're causing the road rage around you. Because I've driven in a car with someone that has road rage, and I'm in the passenger seat, and there's things that come up all the time, and I'm just sitting there just quiet, just silent. And then I drive with them in the car, and nothing happened. There's no one that's cutting us off. There's no one that's doing this. It's just a smooth ride.
Yeah.
So it's different when, like, you go into your car and you're like, oh, I have to go deal with people. God, people can't drive. People are so stupid on the road. Then you get on the road, and any little thing ticks you off. Right? Someone could turn their signal on too late or something, and you didn't see it, or turn it on too early, and you're like, why did you turn it on then? And you're getting all upset. Like, that's an interesting case. And that one doesn't really have to, I don't think that has much to do with, like, that's more like inner relationship, I feel like, more than it is with like
somebody,
right?
something outside of you triggering.
I think that's more of an inner trigger that's like just a slow fuse. But as far as, family triggers is a big one. Everyone deals with mother wounds and father wounds. Either nurtured enough, not nurtured enough, didn't show me how to love, made me grow up too quick, didn't have a father around, didn't have a mother around, and so you developed a different way, right? You had to lean towards other things to kind of get that feeling. You lean towards certain things to try and feel more love or something. We're going on like a deep end spectrum, or, father didn't really know how to communicate emotions or feelings, so you didn't really grow up doing that too much, or they were always joking around and trying to just have a good time, but there was no serious moments where you could sit and talk about what's going on with you. So there's different dynamics in a family, right? Almost like a roommate, but they're your blood. So you share a lot of the same anxiety, stress, the DNA, those things that you deal with, maybe mental health issues too. You all share that in some sort of lineage. Like the way that, your grandma treats your mom, you see that dynamic, and then you see the way that your grandma treats your mom, the way that your mom treats you sometimes, and you're like, whoa, oh, I get it. It's not my mom's fault. It's probably not even your grandma's fault. She probably learned something totally different when she was younger too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Though we don't think about it when we're having kids. We're just, most of the time, they're just going with the way that the world is. You get to a certain age, you should be around, you should be getting married, you should have a kid. At this point, you got to keep the family name going. You got to keep our bloodline alive, right? So many bloodlines are being, I saw something about this, totally off topic, but so many bloodlines are being ended because, one, no one really wants to have a kid in this day and age. Two, also people are transitioning, so they're either doing something to their own, and then our food's also depleting the way that we reproduce. Well, population control, that's a whole different subject. But so when we go back to dealing with our families, that relationship can mold over time, because when you're a kid, you don't really understand these things. Up until I was like, how old was I? 21 maybe? I finally started to understand the inner workings of like my family on both sides, my mom's side, my dad's side. And really started to get a feel for why the way my mom was the way she is, right? Not how she was in that moment, but why she was the way she is, like, when I was younger. Because at that age, then I was able to, like, sit and go, all right, can we just have a conversation as two people? Because I get that you're also a human growing and going through, and everything that you were doing was new to you. I may have been your second child, but I was your first boy. And so everything is still new to you as you're growing up. And, I'm sure the same with my dad. You're still a human. You're still having to provide. Like, you're still trying to go through all these sort of things in your life, and your life's changing, and you have a family. Like, I can only imagine what was going through your mind at that time, trying to keep things together to not seem like, to not either scare the kids or do anything like that. Like, you're just wanting to protect us from all these certain things. Because when you go into the base point, I love my parents very much. Don't take any offense by this if you listen to this episode, but the communication of the ability for them to communicate their feelings and emotions was not really there. So a lot of my life growing up, there was a lot of joking around. We had serious talks. We would have like family meetings, but it would always be about, what's actually happening, what's going on. Like, not like, maybe I'm remembering this wrong. Who knows? It was a long time ago, but it wasn't always emotional focused.
Mm-hmm.
They'd ask you, what do you think about this? Right? Or, we're thinking about doing this, we want to do this. What do you think about this? Not how do you feel?
Mm-hmm.
And they tried, like, towards the end, I believe that we were trying to go into, like, feelings and kind of get that out because they noticed how sensitive I probably was. And then, so I would encourage, like, in that space, again, you have to start with that inner relationship with yourself to then be able to approach family in a way to say, hey, look, I see you. I see you. I get what, like, I don't get what you've been through, but I see it. And, like, I'm proud of you. Look, I'm grown. I appreciate you. I encourage anyone at my age or younger, teens or younger, if you want to sit and think about this if you're listening to this, if you have that conversation with your parents, I see what you did. Like, I appreciate everything you did for me. And, like, look, can we just have like an open conversation? You're gonna watch their entire energy shift, and someone will probably cry because that's a load off their shoulders. They're like, I've been trying so hard to try and just raise you and make sure you're okay, and like their whole 18 to 20 years of their life, sometimes longer. My mom still helps me with some things now. My dad too. Still talk to them. They're your parents, right? And now it's a little bit more of a different relationship because I've had this conversation. But it opens up this different connection and this stronger connection. Not only, wow, I love them. They're just like they're my parents. They grew up with me. Wow, now I love them as a human. Now I see them as a person, as a human, instead of just my mom and my dad.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't think too many people sit to think about that or to have that conversation with their parents to kind of go through those things. And I believe that goes with every relationship that you have. So, you can go to I see my grandparents the same way. I've been living out here for a while, so I haven't really had too many conversations. But now when I go home, I conversate with them the way I would converse with anybody else. Even with younger siblings, I just talk to them like they're people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't try to change going back to the roles, I don't try to change my role with people I'm talking to because they're also people too. They're also still trying to figure out the world even at 75,
mm-hmm.
right? And even at like 13, which some of my cousins are. So it's that part which can allow them to be seen and be heard. And then when it goes to like triggers, it can help them also release some of their maybe past triggers, right? Or triggers that you may have with each other. Like it allows those to lessen because you had that communication and that conversation of just being a person and understanding that I know you have those things too. And so when you outburst like that, it's like, I get it. I know where that comes from. You react a whole different way. You don't react based on a trigger anymore like you were when you were younger and you were like, in that teen phase, like, Mom, just leave me alone. Oh, God, stop.
Yeah.
Why do you do this? God, Dad, you're so annoying, like, embarrassing. Like, come on. You don't react that way anymore. You react from a place of like, oh, that's my mom.
Yeah.
I get it. My grandma, we talked and grandma was that way to you, and I see why you're like that, and you explain it to me, and like you understand. It's the same way, with people. Friends that you meet that kind of trigger you. But I say all this to say, at the really base part of it, your personal relationship, maybe I should have started with this last. Your personal relationship is really what helps you alleviate your reaction to triggers from other people. Other people will show you what those triggers are, but the only way for you to change them is to kind of have a different mindset towards your reaction of them. Because that's the only things you can control. You can control your reactions to your emotions, you can control your reactions to other people, and you can control your actions. That's it.
So then when people go through like the what is right or wrong stage of like reactions and stuff like that, how do they make it clear for themselves on what to do and how to change things?
Give me an example. Like what do you mean by like right and wrong?
Like, if people think of a reaction, like, let's say in a relationship, somebody's telling you, your mom or someone is telling you, like, they need something different from you. But that, to you in your head, might be like, well, this is triggering something inside of me to be like, well, I actually need this from you. And so where do you find a balance between inner, like, okay, what do I, yeah. Huh?
You have to communicate that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because like, if you're, you know, and this could be with anybody. I feel like a lot of these things are like more family and like intimate partnerships, where there's like, you know, friends just want you to be you, right? A lot of loyal friends just want you to kind of support you and kind of be you, and friends that kind of want you to change, I don't know if they're really your friend.
Yeah.
You know, there's a little. Like, I don't want you to be this way. Unless, of course, they see something that's really affecting your detrimental health, and that's like, they can see it putting you down a wrong road. If they're trying to do that, that's still a true friend. But someone that doesn't want you to be yourself, or is like not supporting you in a certain way, I would be wary of a friend like that, right? But when like a family member or you know, a romantic partner is like, hey, I need you to do... I don't know.
Yeah, what if it's not communicated? Because I feel like a lot of the times
like
these
it's like
things...
some sort of passive-aggressive
It's like
thing.
passive, or it's causing other like problems because either they don't know how to communicate, or you're trying to... Because even people pleasing, I could see like you can overcompensate for somebody else, like wanting something, but they're not communicating it to you. But...
Like, they just, like, expect you to know?
Maybe, because I feel... Yeah, maybe.
I'm trying to follow here. I see what you're saying.
Okay, but actually... Okay, let's go back to the right or wrong thing.
Okay.
So going back to right or wrong, like, how do you discern within yourself what the right decision and what you need back to your internal relationship? How do you know what is right or wrong in that situation? Because I feel like the right or wrong, or whatever your perception of that is, comes from your like personal relationship, your values, all that stuff. But like, what if some of those things and your ideas of those values need to change? And it's not that you don't have those values, but it's just the perception of, or your understanding of that value that needs to change. Because all right, bro, whatever.
I'm following. I'm
know
trying to hear like what
it
like,
is.
Connect. Yeah, what that actually is, because I'll tell you this. I don't believe in right and wrong anymore. Mm-hmm. Right?
What?
I don't believe in right and wrong anymore. Right? So I thought that was funny. You make a decision, and then that decision determines an outcome. Okay? But you make that decision, again, like you said, based on your values, based on your beliefs, based on what you feel like is right.
So you're saying it's basically the desired outcome that you want.
What you feel like is, what feels good to you, I guess. What feels like it could benefit not only you but others. Like, if it's at a detriment to like using someone else for your own good, I don't think you should do it. Like, if I'm using, I don't know, like people that use artists to gain money, or people that use other people to get ahead in life and manipulate and do those sort of things. Like, I mean, I would say that's just not a very smart thing to do. It's a horrible relationship to be in. It's a horrible way to have a relationship with others. So you really have to have that internal work of what your values are, right? And you have to communicate with those that are like wanting you to either go against your values or change your values in a healthy way. Not communicating of saying like, I'm not going to change my values. Communicating saying like, what do you see, or what is it about it that you feel like I'm missing? Right? Like having that kind of conversation. Or why do you feel like I need to do this for you? Or why do you feel like I need, to change this? What is it about this that doesn't sit right with you? Because it's not necessarily on you all the time. If you're just completely unaware, you're unaware and you need clarity, that you're doing these things. Or that they're doing these things. Maybe they're completely unaware that they're doing these things too. I don't know how aware these other people are, right? I know how aware I am. I don't know how aware some other people are. They could be just as aware, or they could just be completely oblivious to certain things. Right? Does that sort of answer your question?
Yeah, but I think I have a clear question now.
Okay, cool. Let's
So,
go.
so where, and this is gonna still be kind
It's all right.
of general,
It's
but
all right.
all right. So then, where do most misunderstandings come from then? Because I feel a lot of like problems, like actual problems in relationships, are just misunderstandings.
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is it that's...
It's miscommunication. If you think about it, what is a misunderstanding is, I don't understand you, you don't understand me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do I know what I'm saying? Do I understand what I'm saying? Am I communicating what I'm saying right? Are you communicating what you're saying right? Okay, then we need to continue talking about this until we can kind of, like, the way that we're answering this question. Misunderstandings on both ends, probably. But we're continuing to talk about it to try and formulate the best way to create clarity so that both of us are understanding, and we're doing it in a way that's not bringing out any sort of frustration.
Yes,
right?
Key. I was just about to ask, how do you do that in a healthy way, though?
Well, you can only control your own way of not getting frustrated. So you have to come at it with like a calm tone of just kind of patience and understanding. You have to wear that. You can't wear this like, if someone's completely trying to say something you're not getting, you can't just be like, I'm trying to communicate with you about what I need. Right? You have to go into a calm collect. You can't let whatever's going on in here show. You just have to be like, okay, breathe. Let them figure out what they're trying to say and breathe and hear them and listen and hear. And then, okay, I heard what you're saying. I get it. And maybe reiterate a couple things like, am I hearing this correctly? So, and then that's a great way to kind of restate. They talk about this in sales. They talk about this when you're just talking to people. Like, okay, so what I'm hearing is, help me if I'm understanding this correctly. And then you restate a couple of things that they said to make sure that you heard it right. And if they go, yeah, that's great. If they go, no, then can you clarify this for me, please? And it's not like, and then you gotta, if you gotta be really detailed, like, I need you to clarify this because I just really can't understand, and I want us to come to some sort of conclusion without us both getting upset.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Quells anything of any sort of frustration, because then they heard you. That's pretty clear of like, okay, all right, I just got to restate. And like, I get like if you're having to repeat yourself a couple times, sometimes that can get annoying, but if you truly care about the person and love the person, then it's like, okay, all right, I can do this. Or, all right, look, can we just pause on this and like we can come back to this at a different time? Like,
yeah,
we can create a moment, create a space. Like maybe it's not the space for us to be talking about this, or we can set a time to like talk about this. Like, but that's okay. Okay, we can take a pause. We can come back. Like I've had that in relationships too, where it's like, all right, we're just gonna forget about it right now, but we'll come back to it later. We're just gonna table it because both of us are not in a space right now where we can actually come to some sort of conclusion or some sort of understanding or meet in the middle, be on the same page about a subject. Because that's tough in relationships. I think that's, communicating about those things, whether it's about money, which is one of the biggest things that tears relationships apart, marriages, whether it's about, intimacy, being desired is a big one. I know I felt that one. But then also, what they actually need and what you really need. If you haven't sat with what you need in a relationship or in a partnership, let's use partnership so we don't get that mixed up.
Okay.
Or like an intimate partnership. If you don't know what you need out of somebody else, maybe you don't need anything. Maybe you just need them to just love you, to just support you, just care for you. And it's just kind of like basic stuff. If you don't know how to communicate that, how do you expect to ever receive that? You can't expect them to just pay attention to every move that you do and recognize where you need them and recognize when you don't need them or recognize these things. So, like, it takes you actually thinking about what do I desire and need from you so that I feel loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I actually had to learn was, like, direct communication about that. Because sometimes I would notice, like, I would do, like, these things where I would expect someone to know, which sucks. I know, that sucks. But, like, I would expect someone to know because I'm like, this seems obvious to me because...
Of course.
Yeah, because it's me.
Yeah.
It's what I need. It seems obvious I should be, like, when I say this, I really mean this. No, that's just classic being
when
a woman.
When I say square, I really mean circle. Come on.
No, I was just playing with that one. But I just mean, like...
Oh, you're not.
No. I'm not, like, the opposite type person, but I'm, like where I'm say something, but I really mean the opposite.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, where I'm, like... Oh, like, I'm cold, and I would expect someone to put a jacket over me. But then, like, remember how Kelso on That 70s Show is like, well, I can't control the weather, Jackie. But he gets pissed, and she's just like, damn, dude, I really just needed, like, a jacket. But, so sometimes I feel like that's funny, but that's, like, actually what happens with people is, like, they're trying to communicate, but really just directly tell me what you need, like.
Yeah.
And then maybe at that point... You won't need to tell me in the future. I could just know that that's what you need.
Exactly. Until you, like, make it clear. Like, and that's one thing, I think, which is funny that you brought up That 70s Show, because I feel like that's also one thing that becomes a very big misunderstanding. Like, saying something like that, and then, someone's over here like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Until you say the exact need, it's like, okay, when I say this, I need you to do this. Or when I'm talking about this, I need this. And then in the future, well, that'll click, at least for males. At least for me, I'll be like, I'll remember that.
Mm-hmm.
That way when that happens, I'm sure it's the same for you. I mean, it's just a human thing. Like,
yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, when you're dealing with this or when this is happening to you, I'm going to do this for you.
Yeah.
I'll know that. And then you just won't forget. And that's an easy way to communicate. And if you don't communicate that at first and you try to do that over and over again and just expect us to try and figure it out, we're going to do all these sort of trial and error things, and all these things are probably going to be completely wrong, completely different, to where you just get fed the fuck up and don't, you're just so annoyed with us that then you're going to have this conversation. You never listen to me. You don't even know me. And you're like sitting here like, dude, well, you don't ever tell me these things of like what I'm, I'm trying my best over here. Like, you may not see it because I'm not doing the exact thing that you need, but you've never told me. It's the same thing. If I flipping, I guess you got to experience it, but it's a little different. If you tell a kid, like, don't touch the stove, the stove's hot, don't touch it, until they touch it and fuck up at least once, they're not going to, recognize it. They're like, okay, well, that was probably not the best example. But
Yeah.
along those lines, right?
Mhm.
You know, like, so yeah, I think that's really the best way to have a blossoming relationship. Is to be able to know what you need and be able to communicate those needs, and on all aspects, whether it's mental, emotional, physical, out in the world. Like, I just need this when I wake up, or I need to do this. This is part of my routine, or intimate, like in the bed, what you need.
In the sheets.
What you need. What's the best way? You don't
Yeah.
communicate that. Of course you're going to be like, man, our sex life is terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Communicate that. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, right?
Then it'll be bomb.
Exactly. That'll be the shit. That'll be amazing.
Yeah, you don't know how good I am actually yet because you haven't told me what to do.
I'm trying all these things out of nowhere and none of it's working.
Trying some freaky shit.
Freaky stuff. Coming in some sort of costume. Like, ha ha! Is this what you like?
Oh my god, dude, that's fucking funny.
But it's true.
Yeah, it is for sure. Just being comfortable enough to be able to have those conversations.
It starts with self.
Yeah.
So, and then, you watch how a lot of your relationships begin to change. I encourage you to journal about it.
Yeah.
What do I need? What do I need from myself? What do I need from my romantic partner? What do I need from friends? And it doesn't have to sound selfish. It can literally be simple things. What do I need from friends? Loyalty. Communication. Support.
Yeah.
Those simple things. It doesn't have to be like, I need all my friends to give me $5 every week. And if you can't
Could you imagine?
If you can't give me $5 every week, I'm not gonna be your friend. You're gone. Sorry. Hey, Josie. Yes, you didn't give me $5 this week, so you're uninvited to my party.
Oh my gosh. Some real mean girl shit right there.
On Wednesdays, we wear pink.
Dang. Oh, dude. Okay, I know we might be going a little bit longer on this one, but I have 2 more questions for you about relationships.
Damn, we did go pretty far on this one.
Is that okay?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's
okay.
2:50.
Okay, cool.
I figured this was a long one, so we'll probably just do this one and then cut it for the day.
Okay.
I don't care that this isn't the recording. Y'all can hear our plans. That doesn't bother me.
That's how you know we have no ulterior motives with y'all. Putting all our cards out with you guys.
Yeah, you can hear everything. There's nothing to hide. Literally, we're in my room.
In our secret lair.
Our submarine that's just in the middle of a lake.
We should do a submarine episode.
I tried so hard not to spit out my water. We should do a submarine episode. All right, Nikki, if you find a submarine where we can go and actually do this,
I got you, bro.
I will do a submarine episode.
All right. Disneyland.
I'll make it claustrophobic.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not gonna let us bring this stuff into Disneyland.
Why not?
I don't know.
You're right. They probably wouldn't. I don't know. We'll see.
Anyways, what was your question?
Okay, so my questions were... So, for friendships... Well, maybe this isn't a question quite yet. I'm going to talk a little bit about something else. But friendships, like, I noticed within myself, like for the longest time, I was, like, I feel like in an isolated place. Because I felt like I was going through a lot. But I feel like with friends, like, how to be a good friend, I always thought that being a good friend was just, like, for just like being there for somebody when they really need it. Like, but one of my, I guess, like, standards for friendship wasn't like to see them all the time or just like spend time with them really, which is bad. I'm now figuring out that I do that, and like I don't really make the time to hang out with my friends that much. and it's weird because like now I'm opening up to like a whole space of like, because I even like for a long time was like not against making new friends, but I just was like, I didn't like have that like maybe desire, even just like maybe I cut myself off from friendships for a while, because like even at work I'm like starting to be like, yeah, these people are really cool, like I would want these people as a friend. But like I realized my past self, or like even recent past self, was just like, yeah, work is work, I'm not really here to make friends. Like even though these people are cool, I don't really dive that deep into personal relationships with these people.
Yeah.
Because I'm at work. And then, but now it's like, I'm like allowing myself to have more friendships because like friendships are beautiful. And like, I realized that was something that I was holding myself back from for a long time. Like,
Man.
I had like my loyal friends, you know, like my small circle and stuff, but it was, and I noticed that like people would reach out to me to be their friend, and I kind of was like, yeah, like I like you too. But now I'm feeling more like having desires to be like, hey, I want to be friends with this person. And
Yeah.
I haven't had that in a long time, and I was just thinking,
what do you
like,
think changed?
I think that I probably experienced like maybe either fake friendships, or I was in maybe some other committed relationship to where I didn't just prioritize my friendships, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I think it was a mix of a lot of things. And then I was also just like on like just on a spiritual journey too, so I feel a lot of that was just like I was just going through a lot of things mentally.
Oh yeah.
And even my expression, I felt like I just was so much more like I think you know this because you've known me for so long and I talk about it a lot, but like just my expression was hard for me to like for other people to see. Unless you are super comfortable around you, like it was hard for me to just be like, sorry. Just fucking knocks me down, or I knock it down.
You've grown a lot, bro.
You think so?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like
dude.
the first time I met you, like, yeah, I definitely now see that, like, exactly what you're talking about. Like,
really?
your expression of you is, like, able to just come out all the time, even if they're, like, someone you don't really know that well. Like, you're able to just, like, and it's funny that you say that because, like, yeah, it took a little bit when we first met for you to, like, kind of break into that character, but once you did, now I'm seeing you do that just all the time, to where it's like a constant. So it is cool to see.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
no problem, dude.
But yeah, I guess I didn't really have a question. I guess it was more just a story. I don't know, but I felt like it was important to touch on friendships.
It is important, and I think friendships are very important, and I think. I believe that I'm one of those too, but I always I like when I say I'm one of those too is that I see my friends when I can, really. Like, it's very sporadic, more so than it used to be, because I'm doing this. I'm like having clients. I work at odd hours now. I work like a 10 to 7 shift, so it's really weird. But I do see my friends at least, as often as I can. And I have different groups of friends. Like, I have my high school buddies that I've known for a really long time. Some of them I've known since like grade school. I've got new beautiful friends that I've made out here that I see. But like starting to get out into like community events, so I'm seeing like those people a lot more, which is beautiful. And then like I have just friends that have done like spiritual work, so I try to at least see them as much as I can. But I also believe firmly that you can, be there for somebody without being there for somebody. So whenever I hear like to reach out to somebody or to just say, hey, how's it going? How you feeling? What's going on? Or just hit some people up like that, I'll do that. And it's just like a quick text. And, I don't know, maybe that changes. Maybe that, helps you out. Maybe that, I don't know, makes you feel something. But yeah, I would do that. Because those people I care about. I notice it's like, it's difficult though to like keep in touch as you grow older. I feel like my circle got smaller, but it's still large, and it's weird, right? Because I know those people, they still care for me, and like I've really chosen what friends to keep around, even though like I always give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but I've been able to draw like boundaries a lot more. I think that's one thing that you got to have with friends, right? You got to have an ability to just speak to them and talk about, hey, I need this, I'm creating this boundary, or I can't do this, like, hey, look, I can hang out then, or, there's certain points where maybe a friend just doesn't resonate with you anymore, and you have to create a boundary of like, maybe we don't do these sort of things, or you don't, I don't know, however that may look. But I do believe friends are important, and I do believe that a lot of the friends I have now have kind of helped me become the person I am, by showing me, different parts of myself, or, giving me that support or the encouragement, and that I love. But before we close out, I do want to go into a little bit. I know this one's running a bit long. However, we have to also look at our relationship to the earth and our relationship to the universe as a whole. And I'll probably get into that with another, a lot about the universal relationship with a guest that I bring on. And I know exactly who. But our relationship with the earth is a big one. Because it's a very special relationship that we have. It's a very symbiotic relationship that we have that we don't utilize the space enough. And what I mean by that is that we have come on this plane, and so many of us are in this space of, yeah, you only get one life to live it. However, we also have to know that we share this with many other beings on this planet. People, animals, plants. Like, we share all of this. And the relationship needs to change in the way that we communicate with the earth, so to speak. Same thing with like our relationship with ourselves. Our internal relationship, all we have done from past until now, things are starting to change now because we're starting to do a little bit more inner work and have a different inner relationship with ourselves, because we're at a space where now, things are a little safer for the most part. People are always trying to push war, which doesn't make sense to me. That relationship needs to change. The separation relationship needs to change, because we have this tendency to have this societal border programming that has been put on us to make us feel like we're all different. And that relationship needs to change. The way that we go about creating now, so much in the past, our inner relationship wasn't that great, and so we made that into the world. we wanted to be better than other people. We wanted to show off. We wanted to have this crazy life or do these sort of things. So our relationship was creating that, i.e. different capitalism and different societal systems that were put into place. Or all they were was an inner expression of ourselves. We have a right side, we have a left side. We have heavy deep into communism, we have heavy deep into really democratic. We have so like all these sides and all these different beliefs, all they are just inner workings of ourselves. And so we're coming into this some sort of balance is where we're moving now. The pendulum is starting to slow down. And so you start to see weirder and weirder things as people are trying to find the balance. And people are doing it as best that they can. And so there's this clash of so many people that want to stay on this side and want to stay on this side, and no one really wants to come to the middle. But we have all these people that are trying to push so hard to come into the middle, to look, we can cohabitate with everything around us. We can have this symbiotic relationship. Science is starting to see this consciousness aspect that's in us. They're starting to see the connection that we really have, boiling it down to its base point. And we've known about this for so long, but people didn't really want to believe it because it wasn't scientifically proven yet or being able to be shown physically. And now it is. And so our relationship is ever changing. And the only way that everyone can kind of cohabitate together is by recognizing that change, beginning to make that change within themselves, so that way we can come together under one umbrella instead of feeling like we're still the United States, you're still just Mexico, you're still just Canada, you're still just Europe, you're still just Africa, you're still just Australia and East Asia, instead of, no, you're humanity. That relationship needs to change. And I think that's where we're headed next.
And what happens when we start to shift that into, we see ourselves as a human community rather than separated?
Well, what do you think? Well, let's swim with it for a bit. Resources are shared without any sort of, do you have the funds to pay for this? What can you give me? It's more of, okay, so resources are more distributed along those. Like, you have this amount of resources, I have this amount of resources. I can give you this, we'll do this. Instead of can you pay for it? I don't want to give this to you because I feel selfish and we need this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So it's just, it's not evenly distributed, but we're working with our geographical strengths and weaknesses together as a society. We're working with the ways to create unlimited energy, which we've tapped into, renewable sources or things like that. We work with a way to do that. Instead of giving up hope and abandoning this place and saying, well, if something were to happen here, let's just go create something on Mars and we'll wait. And if something happens, at least we have Mars to come back and rehabilitate.
Yeah.
Because they don't. We have to change. We have to begin to make this change, and that's the only way. When we start doing that work, crime and violence goes down. Who wants to kill their neighbor? I believe the propaganda and the news, all that a lot of stuff needs to crumble and be adjusted. And I hate to use the word crumble, but I do need to use the word crumble because it needs to shift. Oof, we're getting deep in a topic here, but that is a relationship that we have that we need to think about. The relationships that we have with the entire collective.
And so when it crumbles, how within ourselves do we not just go to the same old, easily fear-based?
When we talk about history, and I think we talked about this earlier, is one of those questions we had for humanity on that post.
Oh, yeah. History
if we're supposed
itself?
to learn from history,
yeah,
why do we continue to repeat itself? Well, there's different people in power. There's different people that want to have a different relationship. They desire to have this power-hungry relationship of control. They believe, and there's beliefs, that the only way humanity can be controlled is by, like, management, or by some people in charge telling us what needs to be done. When in reality, if you go back to community living, there was just, it was consulted, and then as a collective, we were like, yes or no. Do we do this or not? Do we come together on this or not? Instead of, okay, we're going to appoint, a certain amount of people that can also have their own decisions no matter what the masses say, and then they can just kind of do what they want. Even if we vote, they can still make a difference. There's just a bunch of different things, and I think you also go into other countries where one person just has all the power, or a couple people just have all the power, make all the decisions. So there's that systemic needs to change. I don't know what it is. Don't get me wrong, I have no idea what it is. Like, what can make a change in that. But I believe having somebody somebody that doesn't desire to lead, that can lead, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I really don't. Because I don't think we need a system in place. The system itself is just living on Earth, working with its resources, understanding its, the ability that we have to create with it. And by recognizing that, heck, we could probably be light years away by now, being able to travel the cosmos with ease. But we're so focused on all this bullshit going on around here that we decide to keep all this separation. Right? Everyone makes the joke, oh, if aliens were to even come here, they probably wouldn't want to mess with us. Well, some of them already are, first off. But there's you guys can't even come together for one common goal.
I was gonna say that earlier when we were starting to talk about this, I was gonna say the only time I've ever heard anybody say the only way we can come together is if some other species or entity is against humanity, and that's the only way that we can really come together, because we're fighting for our own, for humanity's survival at that point. That's basically where we're at, though.
We've always been, quote unquote, fighting for humanity's survival.
I know, so I never really understood why only then. If a lot of people use that alien reference as that's the only time we would be able to come together.
Did you see that video of I can't remember, it was one of the Jake Paul brothers or something. He did an interview with this guy. He goes, what's the deepest information you know? And the guy goes, well, they're gonna stage an alien attack on the Earth, and they're gonna make it look like it was aliens, which is gonna have us all come together as one. So that way they can have this one world government. Right? So we don't need a one world government. What we need is to allow people to just cohabitate on the Earth itself.
Yeah.
Right? With its resources. And it gets to the point where people are like, well, I see the other side of well, who's going to run, the energy grid or the sources that we have and blah, blah. It's like, well, that's a good point. Now we need those kind of people. We need engineers. We need all those people that studies. I'm not saying all that needs to go. I'm not saying that at all. That's not what I'm saying. The relationship that we have with each other as a whole needs to change. The way that we communicate with each other needs to change. The way that we communicate in general needs to change. There's all these misunderstandings. There's grown men in power that throw fits. that fall asleep, that just, there's no good relationship out there. It's all about who's got more money.
Yeah.
Anyways, Earth's relationship. Think about your relationship with the community. Start small. I wanted to go to the macro because I wanted you to see how something so small as your own internal relationship, and expand it out to see that it ripples like water into its macro relationship. So it's all connected. It's kind of the biggest thing I wanted to kind of swim with, was the connectivity between the small inner relationship to the mass relationship that we have with everybody else. But I'm done.
Okay.
Let's call it.
I got one more question.
Do you?
Nah, it's gonna... Nah. We kind of touched on it. It's okay.
Now they're curious.
Alright, we don't really need to go as deep, but I was gonna say, like, what about your relationship with someone you don't even know, which kind of touches on, like, similar... It's gonna be probably the similar attitude you have as, like, your community, or... Yeah. Because then I was gonna say, like, going back to, like, the communication-wise and all, and, like, when it does come down to the line of, like, how are we gonna rebuild a foundation for how we live and whatever. I was gonna say, even just, like, how you think about people you don't even know. Like, how do you treat those people? And because that's usually, like...
This is the classic line, treat others how you want to be treated. I mean, how you treat yourself. That's the thing. If you don't have a good inner relationship with yourself, you treat yourself like shit, how are you going to treat other people? Probably like shit. You're going to do your best, but subconsciously, you're probably not going to be able to treat them as well as you treat yourself. You probably, and if you're that deep into it, you probably do treat other people better than you treat yourself, because you feel like you may not deserve it. So there's this weird dichotomy. When you start treating yourself with the utmost respect and start taking care of the things that you need and then getting a better understanding of relationship with yourself, you start to become more aware of everyone deals with the exact same thing that I'm dealing with. So I can have a little bit more kindness. I can have a bit more respect for everybody, because they're just living out here just like I am. I don't know how aware they may be of it, but I can at least look at them as one, instead of you're separate from me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Will you?
This is a long one, bro.
Yeah.
An hour and a half. That's wild.
All right. Calling it.
Okay.
Much love.
Thank you
Peace.
for joining us on this episode of Swimming with Sepsey. If this resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and follow us on our YouTube channel, or listen on all platforms or wherever you get your podcasts. Any support is greatly appreciated. You can find us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/swimmingwithsepsey. You can also follow us on Instagram at swimmingwithsepsey. And if something did arise today, maybe you need some clarification or want some help or just need some guidance and don't know where to go, feel free to reach out to me via email, swimmingwithsepsey@gmail.com, or you can find my website at solelyliving.com, where I offer coaching packages, readings, and things of that nature. Again, thank you for tuning in. Very grateful. Namaste. And we'll find you on the next episode of Swimming with Sepsey.